Carrie, just give me the green light when you think we got enough people on that we want to get started.
Why don't we go ahead and get started?
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Century 21 affiliated company website webinar. This is our last pre-launch education session. A lot of you throughout the company joined us for the two sessions we had in Illinois on the 16th of April and the two that we had in Wisconsin on the 23rd. As I just said, this will be the last education session we'll have before the launch tomorrow, Wednesday, May 1st. This webinar is being recorded. We will post it on the website, so if you ever want to go back and review any of the data or information we go through, it will be at your fingertips at any point. In a few minutes, I'll turn this over to Ed Kohler from Where to Live, and I'll let Ed start the demonstration and walk through the platform. But I just wanted to make a couple quick notes. One, just giving everyone a little background on why we're doing this. We decided to move forward with this platform and the new website for a couple main reasons. We wanted to, one, obviously continue our strive to have the best possible tools and systems provided to you as agents out there. We wanted to also make sure we had the absolute best possible web presence for our website, your agent websites, and for our listings out there on the web. And I think you'll see today Ed's going to go through in depth the SEO platform, that is the search engine optimization platform, and how it works within this system. And if everything goes according to plan, the position we're going to have on the web between your agent websites, the company websites, and our listings should be terrific and really help us drive a better placement online, and in turn get us to the biggest reason we're doing this, to drive more leads into the company and eventually back to you guys as agents. The timing of all of this works out perfect. As we started to grow our expansion in Chicago, we also wanted to make sure we had a stronger regional website and a stronger presence online throughout all of our marketplaces. And that's how all these discussions with the new website provider kind of came about. In fact, Ed Kohler from Where to Live and I have known each other for really the last probably 2 or 3 years. Carrie and I have been talking with them in regards to the website, and it wasn't the right time a couple years ago when we started talking, and now it is the right time, and as we've talked more over the last 6 months, we really wanted to move forward with the platform, and really Ed, Carrie, and our entire team have been working on the design work over the last 3 or 4 months, really all leading up to the launch of the platform tomorrow on the 1st. So we're extremely excited about it. And really pumped up to give the final webinar here and to get you guys going on all this. Just a couple other quick notes. Once again, this is recorded. You will be able to go back and revisit this webinar at any point in time in the future. And also, if you have questions along the way, there is a chat box on your screen there. Just chat in your questions, write them in. That will go to Carrie. If it's a question we need to interrupt along the way, we'll stop, we'll answer the question. If not, we'll try to save a lot of those questions for the end of the webinar and then answer all of them at the end of the webinar. So with that said, I'm very excited to pass over to Ed, and Ed Kohler from Where to Live. Ed, I'll let you take it over.
All right, well, thank you, Dan. Thanks, Carrie. I'm glad that we've come this far, and I'm excited about the launch of this website. I think it's going to be a great success for your company. But that is a combination of, whether it's a success or not, will depend on a combination of what we've done at Where to Live to make the site have a professional design, get those listings on the site, make sure people can find what they're looking for in easy and intuitive format. But the difference between sites that are doing well and sites that are doing extremely well really comes down to the quality of the content that's on the site, the content that differentiates the site from every other site that has similar information. And the nature of real estate sites that are really listings-based sites is they all have a lot of content that's really, really similar. So as of today, Century 21 Affiliated's site has over 101,000 properties that are being affiliated on that site. Now, there are other sites that, of course, are going to have that exact same inventory. So it's important to make sure that when people are going online and looking for homes, that you take responsibility for your own inventory to make sure it looks better than your inventory looks on other websites. This is something that we've seen just in the stats that we're able to view across our clients throughout the U.S. and Canada. When people are searching for a home, they look at more than one website, do a lot of research before they decide to call anybody. And if you have the best merchandised version of that listing online, the chance of you receiving a call on that listing goes up considerably. So we're going to today go through some examples of how you can do that and how you can make your listings look good online, how you can make yourself look good online, and just how the functionality of the website works in general, so you can have a good sense of how it works and be able to work with your clients to help them make the most of the site as well. So I have the Century 21 affiliated site up and running right now, so you can take a look at what it will look like when it launches tomorrow. And I'm just going to go through a couple of features here on the home page before showing you some other content. One thing that you should know when visiting the home page of the site is going to look different depending on where you physically are when you visit the website. Century 21 affiliated obviously covers a very wide geography, from all the way into Minnesota down to Illinois, and potentially larger areas over time. So because of that, we want the site to look local to people no matter where they visit from. Right now, I happen to be visiting Century 21 Canada. I'm up in Vancouver today, and so I'm seeing a broad view because I'm not anywhere near the Midwest. My company, where2live.com, I'm not the owner, but the company I work for is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So when I view from there, maybe I would see something that looks more like the southeast of Minnesota. If I'm in Madison, I would see a view that represents the areas around the capital. And if I'm in Chicago, I want to see something that looks more like that. Our goal is to just get people closer to what they're probably looking for, because it just makes the site more local to people. So it's just a subtle thing that we figured out how to do. It's called geo-IP location, where we just detect the IP address of people visiting, and it allows us to figure out where they're physically at the time and serve them up a customized, personalized view based on that. We're not able to do anything as stocky as, say, figure out who they are, but we just happen to know that they're in Chicago or they're in somewhere in Northern Illinois, Rockford. So it just helps us give them a better starting point for the website. Another thing we can do is search box side. When people type things into the search box, we want to give people a lot of options. A lot of people will type in an address of a property, or they happen to already know the property that they're interested in, so they just want to look it up quick to find out more information about it. Or they type in a city or a zip code. Zip code is actually a very popular search. We see that one a lot among home owners who, as part of their home buying process, one of the things they need to figure out is what homes are selling for in the neighborhood they're in already. And it's just a common way that people search for that. So they'll just type in their own zip code just to get a sense of what the market looks like to figure out if they're underwater or not. We also have neighborhoods as a search level. So if someone wants to search for Lincoln Park, they can do that as well. Or MLS numbers, because people have figured out over time that the MLS ID is the magic code that unlocks information about a house. So we want people to be able to type anything they want in there to get started with their search. And what we most commonly see people doing is they either click on a map or they type in something specific on the site. It's one of those two things to get started. We do provide additional options for them just from the home page. So if they just want to see the waterfront properties or open houses, foreclosures, or homes that are tagged fine homes and estates, they have those options available as well. They can also filter by price range or beds and baths right when they get started. But again, most commonly what they do is they just start with geography. So I'm just going to search for Madison here, just an example. By the way, I went a little fast on that, but when you type in a city name or anything that is kind of a known piece of geography, we will auto-complete that. So we found that people are not particularly good at spelling, so we want to make it easy for them. So as people start to type in Madison, it will auto-complete, did you mean Madison, Wisconsin? And it just gets them to what they're looking for faster and easier. So I typed in Madison, Wisconsin, and if you look at the map on the page, you see that we have a city boundary for Madison on the map here. So we license data for every city, so it can help people figure out if a home is inside that boundary or outside that boundary. And depending on where you're at, sometimes those city boundaries are really critical pieces of information because they can affect school districts and things like that. So we think that was a nice layer of data to be able to provide to people. Now you may notice on the map that some of the homes have a question mark next to them and some of them don't. The ones that have a question mark are ones where we don't have 100% confidence in the location of that property. We think we know where it's at, but we're not positive where it's at. So we put it as close to where we think as possible. And I'll show you later how you can clean that up and put that house exactly where it is, because if it's your listing, you've been to that home, you know where that home is. So that's a more accurate way to place a home than our assumptions using the computer software we use. One of the challenges in the home's the right place is the formatting of addresses, and if there are any kind of typos in the address. It's very, very difficult to put a home in the right place if there's a typo in the address. So I really plead to you, when you're putting a listing online, before you enter it, make sure to double and triple check that all of the address information is absolutely correct, because it will cause all kinds of problems across the web. There will be problems for mapping, will it show up in the right city, someone searches the city, all kinds of things. So it's really a critical thing. Now, if I look over on the left side here, you see that there are homes on the left and the map on the right, and I'm going to slowly mouse over the homes on the left, and if you look over at the map, you can see that the map is tied to the homes on the left. So it's showing me where those homes are, so that it correlates the two. It's just a nice little subtle thing to help people figure out where different homes are that they're looking at. And another thing to look at here is this top listing, which we put in as a demo, so you can see kind of the power of the system. You can put in up to 50 photos on your listings. Put in a number that makes sense, but what we're finding is that the more photos a listing has, the more traffic it gets, the more leads it gets, and the faster that home sells. And just the quality of the lead you're going to receive if someone has really seen that house very, very well documented online. When they see the house, when they decide to contact you, they know what they're looking at. They know the price, they know where it's at, they know what it looks like. So that type of a lead is not someone who says, hey, could you let me into this house? I need to just see a few things that you didn't bother to show me online. Instead, they're saying, I know what this house looks like. I want to see it just to verify that it is what I think it is. If that person is just a more qualified lead. That's good for you because it saves you time, and it's very good for your sellers too, because it's a real pain to keep your house in selling condition, to have to clean things up and take all the toys and get them out of the way and everything else that you have to do as a seller. I'm going to click on this first home here, and you see how when this home comes together, we didn't fill out all the information because we're lazy demo home users, but when I put this together, it shows the property here. It'll show who the property is listed by if it's an affiliated listing. And if I click on here, notice how it said property showcase on the listing. What that means is I can go here and click for a full screen view of this property. And so when this one was taken, there was still a little snow on the ground. But see how nice this is, where when I clicked on that and was able to go full screen, this particular view of the property, this is a unique feature to the Century 21 affiliated website, and it really allows you to differentiate your listings versus, say, looking at this listing on any other website. So what happens is this listing, 1234 Main Street in Madison, when this house goes in the market and it goes in the IDX systems and is distributed across the web, the pictures that end up on every other website will tend to be smaller and are often watermarked with a little logo for the IDX local real estate board. But what we like to have is the best consumer version, and the best consumer version is the one that has the full screen photos, because this is just a nice way to view the house. And what we often see people doing these days is when they find a house that really interests them, they may go directly to a local real estate site, but they often go to Google first, and they type in an address of the active listing on Google. When they do that, they'll see 10 blue links from Google of that house on different real estate websites. It'll be some local broker sites, could be a local agent site, and it will often be national syndicator sites like Trulia and Zillow, Realtor.com, Home Finder, sites like that. So there's a lot of competition for that listing online. So people, when they start clicking in and out of those different listings, everyone presents a little bit of different information. They came from the same data source, but they just present it in different ways. But if it's your listing, ideally, one of those links will be a link to that listing of yours on c21affiliated.com. And when someone clicks on that version and you have full screen photos available on your version, then out of all the versions they looked at, which will be the version they end up deciding to bookmark? And which version will they decide to email to their spouse? And which version will they send to their parents? That's really the differentiator, because when people are looking at stuff, photos are by far the most important thing to differentiate a listing across different websites. So the process that we've done for this is we've created a system where you can manage that listing on C21 Affiliated and enhance the listing beyond what comes over to us from the MLS board. It does take a little bit of extra time, but that's where you get the competitive advantage. So when people look at that listing anywhere else, you have the smaller photos and you have the bigger ones. So the process is the listing comes over onto C21 Affiliated. Once it does that, it'll show up in your inventory on the back end of the website. Then you can go in and wipe out the lower quality photos that end up there from the board, and then bulk upload the photos that you have, the original photo that you have. And you can just select 21 photos, 30 photos, however many photos you have, upload them. It will take a while. It all depends on the quality of the bandwidth from where you're working at, but you don't have to sit there and stare at it. So get those uploaded, make them really nice, and then you can decide how the board and the C21 affiliated website will talk back and forth. And as a general recommendation, what we say is just keep the photos separate, but update all the other information through the board, because we want that information to be in sync, especially things like price and status. So manage that where you used to manage it, but keep the photos separate. That way you have the high quality photos on C21 affiliated. That's a nice differentiator. So that's a big one to improve the quality. Now back to the map search here. In this case, I ran a search for Madison, but I haven't added in any other criteria yet. So now I'll start to add a couple filters in. So I'll say, show me the homes that are over $200,000. And see how as soon as I did that, homes started to disappear on the map. We have a very, very fast responsive map search on the site, which makes it very easy for people to kind of educate themselves. So I'm going to make it from 200 to 250, and it quickly filtered down to 16 properties that meet that criteria. And maybe I'll say, show me the 3+ bedroom stuff, filter down to 10, and I can very quickly figure out, here over on the east side, there appear to be some homes that meet my search criteria, and a couple other options through town. One thing I noticed is that anything that was really close to the water seems to have disappeared. You're just not going to get on the water for $250,000. So that kind of helps educate the home buyer about what they can realistically afford, and it also, just helps them, it gives them a good sense of what's really available and meets their criteria. And once people do a search like this and they've gotten to the criteria that meets their needs, then we often see them go over on the left here, and we provide a variety of options. Once they're done filtering, they tend to switch to sorting. So I'm going to sort by number of photos descending, because I have a limited amount of time and I want to look at the things that have the most pictures. So that's what I did. And so here are the listings that have the most photos in the system. And notice the top one here has 25 photos. That's an affiliated listing. Next one has 25 photos. Next one has 24 photos, 23, 22. So here's another reason why you can upload a lot of photos. People get in the habit of sorting by photos descending. Your listings will get more visibility simply by having more photos. Now, don't get in the habit of just tricking the system to do that. Don't upload the same photo 5 times to do this. It has to be quality, or you're just going to frustrate people. But when you're at a listing, the cost of film in a camera these days is quite cheap. So take a ton of pictures when you're there. You're also going to find that some are not going to be worth using. So really get in the habit of, if you're taking your own pictures of listings, to take a ton of pictures. We see examples of pictures where people, they get back to their computer and they realize that there's some that they just don't want to use. For example, they caught themselves in the mirror by accident, or they left the toilet seat up, or a lot of little things like that can happen. It's not the end of the world, but if you've only taken 10 photos and 3 of them you need to throw out for one reason or another, you just don't have much. So take 50 photos, take 100 photos, just keep shooting and shooting and shooting. When you get back, look through them, curate those photos down to the ones that really help tell the story of the property. And as far as telling the story of the property goes, I was just talking to a client yesterday about this, about how when you look at a car online, there are often more photos of cars, of a single car online, than you see for a real estate listing at times. And a car is very small compared to a house. So how do they do that? Well, they often take really close-up pictures of features of the car. So, just taking a picture along the side of the car so you can see the quality of the paint job, or taking a picture really close up of the dash, or of the stereo in the car, or the gear shift. And there's a zillion things like that that really kind of help tell the story of what it will be like when you're sitting in that car. But when people take pictures of houses, they tend to take them really far out. They don't show many of those closer up features, and I think that's a real opportunity there, where say the house has newly refinished hardwood floors, take the camera, put it down on the floor, and take a picture across the floor and show off just how good that looks. Or do the same thing with nice granite countertops, or take pictures that really are just designed to show the new appliances in the house. Those are pictures that really help tell the story. So it's different than just documenting, here is a room, here is a room. Get into it and really help people understand what makes that house special. That will help you get that photo count up higher, but not do it in a way that's just redundant. It's doing it in a way that adds additional information so home buyers can figure out what that home is really all about. Now I'm going to click on this particular listing here, and once I got here, I have a couple different options. I can see the address, I can click for map, I can see a street view of this. So for example, I'll do this, and there's the Google Street View we've integrated into the website. On the website, we use a combination of Google Maps and Bing Maps from Microsoft. Both of them have their strengths and weaknesses, so we just use both for whatever they are particularly good at. So in this particular case, I have a Google Street View map on top of a Bing Street Map. So it's just kind of a fun how we can take advantage of these two technologies to provide the best kind of user experience. So Google hasn't, or Microsoft hasn't driven around every street in the country, so they don't have this particular view available. But the Street View is a very nice feature to have on the site, because the nature of buying real estate is when you're buying a house, you're not just buying that house, you're buying into a neighborhood. So actually showing people what the neighborhood looks like, and being able to drive down the street like this and see, hey, it looks like they just had the streets refinished, and it's got real nice fresh curb cuts here, and it looks like they may have got some nice boulevard expansion on this particular house here. Looks like a very walkable neighborhood. It's got some mature trees. These are things that really tightly shot real estate listing you just don't see compared to when we can just kind of back up and look down the street. So, or you can find out that the house next to it happens to be purple, or every once in a while there's some quirky things like that that pop up. So no one would have a purple house in Wisconsin though, I bet. So another thing, I'm going to click on View Property Details. So what I used the map. Eventually I found a house that I liked. I was able to review it a bit on the map, but once I decided I want to see more information about this house, we can send people to a property detail page where you can see a lot more information about this house. So on this page, when Google Street View is available, that will show here. If this house had full screen photos loaded, there would be another button right here that said Launch Full Screen Photo Tour. This listing has 25 photos, but they're not 25 large photos that allow it to do the full screen photo tour. That's something I'll show you how we go about doing later. On this page, people have quite a few options of things they can do. They can take actions with this listing. They can save it to their favorites. They can request a showing or request more information about this property. They'll sound a little redundant, those two features, but they do solicit different results from people. Some people, they're really motivated. They want to see this house. They're saying, I physically want to get into this house. If that's the case, they'll click the Request a Showing button. And so, when that type of a lead comes across, that's by far, obviously, the most valuable type of lead that someone could submit online is just, let me go see it. But when someone's not quite that motivated, we want to have options for them as well, where they don't feel intimidated by filling out a Request a Showing form when all they really want to know is just something, not as specific about that. So, so we have options for that. They can also click to print brochures, and the brochures we actually do are quite nice. We do them in 3 different formats where someone can print out a single page brochure that just has a exterior photo and a little bit of information. They can do a summary, takes puts all of the specs of the house along with some thumbnails of the property, or they can do a complete brochure, which in this case has all the information about the property, has larger photos of the property, and also has a map of the property down at the bottom. So we have different options for people because they're just they're different points in their buying decision. When they're getting really serious, they're going to let that printer run and print out the whole thing. But these brochures are something that we take pretty seriously because just during the whole home buying process, people may start their search online, and people do that at a huge amount these days before they decide they want to contact somebody. But there is definitely still a printer kind of stage of the home buying process. When people are going through that process, when they find something they're interested in, they're going to print it out, they're going to put it on their coffee table, they're going to talk about their friends, about that home when their friends come over, put it in their car. Obviously some people might use Evernote or other ways to do it these days, but the printer is not dead when it comes to the home buying process by any means. So we want to make that as easy as possible for people. They can email this listing, they can click maps and type in a starting address, and it will create a turn-by-turn directions to this house. So say I'll type in my address and we can see what happens. So it's a 4-hour and 8-minute drive from my house in Minneapolis to get to this house. So it shows me I spend a lot of time on 94 and then 90, and eventually I get down to Madison and get to that house. But this is all branded to you. Step 21. Another thing we've done with this house is actually at the top here, we've made it easy for people to share this on different social media sites. So I can +1 this on Google, I can tweet it, share it on LinkedIn, pin it to Pinterest, like it on Facebook. You have quite a few options here as people just kind of go through and check out different homes. If you're a big Pinterest user, the pictures here, they pin very nicely. We've seen some people create just collections around different styles of homes. So if you live in an area that has, like, say, historic homes or some cool, like, mid-century moderns or whatever kind of stands out in your community, if you created like a Pinterest board that just kind of highlights a certain feature of a home or certain styles of homes, killer backyards, man caves, whatever it is, if you created a Pinterest board around that in your community, you may find that you'll get kind of a following going there. Eventually someone says, hey, you know anything about how to buy one of those houses? Matter of fact, I do. Another thing we've done is on the lower right here, we've created an information request box. We call this the Quick Connect box or Quick Contact box. In this particular box, we've pre-populated it with information about the property. So a person can just type in their first name, last name, email, and phone. It makes it very easy for them to generate a lead. We try to figure out how we can take as much friction out of that process as possible. We don't want someone to say, well, I am interested in that house, but not enough to actually fill out a form. Well, we can't take the entire work out of it, but just by taking a little bit out of it, we found that we can increase the leads on the site pretty significantly just by putting this form right into the page. So, we do what we can to just make it easy for people to find what they're looking for. And then down here further on the page, in this case, we're using Bing to show more information about this house. So as I zoom in on this house, Bing does a nice job of really kind of zooming in with what they call their bird's eye view, where you can kind of start to get this kind of tilted view of the community and look around from there. It kind of gives you a nice kind of more of an aerial perspective than a satellite perspective on what things are like down there. Looks like the streets hadn't been paved when this one went through, so would have been middle of the project at that point. So people have quite a few options there to just learn more about this house. We can also from here just toggle to the next homes that appeared on those search results I created. So here would be the next one that came down. Nice looking house. So what we want to see then is ideally that full screen photo tour as I mentioned earlier. So let me just type this address in so we can show you what we're looking for here. So here's an example. I typed in 210 Rustic Drive, and this is an example of what we see people doing all the time when they're looking for information about a home. In this case, it looks like there are 2 listings that have the same address. There's one on the market in Madison, Wisconsin for this house. So that's a house that we're just looking at, and right now Trulia has the #1 result for that particular search term. Then there's also a house at that same address but in North Huntington, Pennsylvania. So because of that, let me just tighten this up. Just going to add Madison in there. So here's this house and a variety of places where you could find out information about this house. So Trulia was number 1. Number 2, Century21.com appeared, then Realtor.com, Zillow, and Point2 Homes, Shore West, Homes and Land, Homes.com, and LincolnCityHomes.com. And as Dan mentioned earlier, one of the reasons that he's decided to work with us is that we're quite good at competing for this type of traffic on Google. So when someone types in these listing-specific searches, such as 210 Rustic Drive, Madison, we want to pop up because anyone who runs a search this specific is quite motivated about what they're looking for. You know, they know the home they're interested in. They may have already driven past the home. They may have gotten a postcard in the mail about it. You know, somehow they found out about this house. And when they did, they're going to start clicking on different results. So, for example, if they click on Trulia, let's see this pop up. And this is what that listing looks like on Trulia. And you know, Trulia does a nice job of breaking out the information about it. But we want to make sure that we're in the mix on this. And as I've mentioned earlier, and I'm probably going to mention a few more times still, when someone goes to a result like this, and they have 10 places to look at this listing, if you have the best version of this listing, that will be the one that they end up deciding to share with their friends or to bookmark. So, for example, if they go to Realtor.com, they can see this house for sale. They can also see ads for Avis and Orlando. They can see ads for mortgage companies, more ads for Avis, all kinds of ads. Here's some more ads that appear. So, Royal Bank of Canada, since I'm up in Canada right now, I'm seeing ads for that. Between the different versions, we want to make sure that the goal of C21affiliate.com is to generate a lead so you can sell that house. It's not to put ads that cause people to get click away and go rent a car. That's not the goal of a real estate broker's website. With sites like Realtor.com or with Zillow, they're running kind of a hybrid model where they're also media companies where instead of hiring journalists to write stories for them, their content is your inventory. And they manage to traffic in that where they get people to the site and a certain percentage of them click on ads and leave and they make money off of that. So it's just a slightly different model. But you obviously make the most money when you get a lead and you sell that home. So that's really what our focus is on because we want to be aligned in our goals for that. So just different models. So now that we've gotten here, the next thing I can do is what we often see is once people find a listing that interests them, they'll often try to learn a little bit about the agent, the listing agent. So I'm going to click on this particular agent. And so far, Nathan hasn't done much with this page, as you can see. There's a picture of Nathan here. There's a quick search option here, and it's pulling his inventory here and displaying his inventory along the side. So that's a nice start, but in the middle here, there's obviously a big white window. So I'm going to show you how people can fill that in and create some nice content about themselves so that you can take advantage of having a site within the site that is professional and helps people understand whether you're an appropriate person for them to work with. I'm going to back out of the home page here. On the home page of the site, another feature we have here worth knowing about is the cities and neighborhoods section that appears over on the right. This section is another section where we will personalize this to the user visiting the site based on where they are physically at the time. So if someone's in Madison, Wisconsin versus Rockford, they're going to see different results when they get here. So it'll show them usually the neighborhood that they're in or city they're in, along with surrounding cities and suburbs, and whatever makes sense to where they're at. This doesn't appear to be fully set up yet. The site's not live quite yet, but I'm going to click on here so we can see what Madison page looks like. So this page is somewhat incomplete yet, but you can kind of get a sense of where this is going. What these pages are, we call them our community pages. They have a map of where this particular area is, along with the ability for people to share it. it'll show the offices that are closest to that area. So if, in this case, we're in Madison, so it shows the Madison office of C21 affiliated. Not really a big surprise there. And we also have a listing breakdown of the prices of homes within this area. Plus we do it also in a more detailed view. This is both for consumers and for Google's purposes, because we want Google to have an easy click-by-click way to get to all of the inventory on the site. So that's what this here is really designed to do. But the intent of these pages is when someone does a search for a term like homes for sale in Madison, Wisconsin, we want to have a page on the site that directly addresses that topic. So that's a page that then is deserving of ranking high in Google. When someone runs that search, they get to this page, they're like, oh, that's a good page on that topic. And then when they get here, the thing we see people doing most often is they click on the price range that matches what they're looking for. So I'm going to click on 200 to 300,000 here. When we do that, we often present a different view for people. So they can view these listings on a map. We have that available to here at the top. But we also present it just in a sortable format. So if they go here and they just want to start sorting in different options, like just show me these houses on a square foot option, they can do that. So it's a nice little touch. We see this is quite popular with, I don't know, people who are just analytical. I mean, we have some people that they think in maps, and other people who just think in spreadsheets. And for people who think in spreadsheets, this format tends to suit their needs a little bit more because they just like to sort stuff. So we give people more than one option on how to just slice and dice data on the website. The one thing that wasn't on that page, so I'll show you an example of what a page looks like that's more filled out. So I'm going to show an example from Sector 21 Town and Country over in Detroit, Michigan. So on their site, this is what a more completed page can look like. So it has a map of the area, has the nearby offices, and here is information that helps explain what Royal Oak is all about. So people can learn about the community when they get to this page. And this is very helpful to home buyers because they can learn about the community. It's also good for Google because Google wants text. They want to just learn about the community. So that helps Google have some content to really gobble up, and that will help the pages rank higher when people search for each community. And if you're out in your community, whenever you just are, you happen to be driving around and it's just a particularly beautiful day, take a picture of the iconic things in your town, whether it's a statue or an entry sign to the town, or a certain building, or a skyline, or a lake, or a trail, park, whatever it is. If you just happen to be going by it on the right day, take those pictures and send them in to like Carrie, for example, so someone can get those loaded to kind of add to these pages, because Google likes text, but home buyers, they really like pictures. So if you get those two together, then everyone's happy. So it can just add a little bit more personality to these pages than having just text alone. We have a little thumbnail in this particular case, but if there were some pictures that just help people understand a little bit more about what this town looks like, that would even turn it up another notch or two. So that's something to keep in mind and strive for. Once again, what we see is a ton of people will come directly to the site, but a lot of people start their search at Google. So we've gone through example of when someone searches by an address, we want for this type of search for someone to find C21 affiliated, for the site to be in the mix when people are searching for specific addresses, but not only to be in the mix when someone does that search, we want what they find when they click on that link to be the best. So upload the original photos. Another thing people do when they go to Google is they will Google you. So when they start their search online for a real estate agent, they'll often start that at Google as well. So when they do that, they will often find your site within the website. So that content better be good as well. What we see that really, really hurts people when it comes to agent websites is the same thing that happens with properties, is if you don't have a picture of yourself, you are not going to receive any leads. It's nearly impossible. So make sure that you have a picture on the site that's professional and somewhat current. That doesn't hurt either, simply because eventually you're going to meet people. And when you meet them, it's nice that you look recognizable compared to your picture online. So try to keep that fresh. It doesn't have to be taken yesterday, but look something like what you look online. And then another thing, as we were showing an example of, when someone searches for a specific community, they type in a term like homes for sale in Madison. We want to have a page that really addresses that topic, that deserves to rank high. So when it comes to Google, Google's goal is quite simple. When someone runs a search, Google wants to present the highest quality content they can at the top of the search results. As long as they do that, people continue to use Google. They keep coming back and they keep coming back, they keep coming back, and every once in a while they click on an ad and Google makes a ton of money. But it's really dependent on all of us to work together to create quality content on the website. We work very hard to make sure Google can see the content on the website, so Google can see all of the listings, all the agent sites within the website, all the blog posts, all the community pages. But that doesn't alone mean that Google's going to rank that really high in the search results. So making the effort to make that content just fractionally better than on other websites really helps it move up in the search rankings. So just a little bit more work makes a big difference, that differentiator. So those are a lot of features of the front end of the website and the functionality that goes into that. And I don't know, Carrie, is there anything that I've missed, do you think, that we were worth touching on at this point, or should we just move to the online office side?
I think you're good. I think you've covered everything. We don't have any questions at the moment. So.
Okay. So we'll jump over to the back end of the site then. So actually, let me go back to the front end. On the front end of the site, on every page, there is a link at the bottom called Online Office over here on the right. Actually, here's one thing I forgot to mention earlier. Right next to that, there's also a button called Mobile Site. When someone visits the site on the front end, we will detect what type of device someone is coming from and serve up a mobile optimized version of the website. So if someone goes to c21affiliated.com from an iPhone, they will see a different version of the website than if you do it, say, from a full web browser. So we want to make that experience as good as we can. And the mobile version of the site does have a geolocation tied into it as well, so you can share your location, and then it'll just sort the homes based on what's nearby. So I use that all the time up in Minneapolis for a local client. I'm just out walking through my neighborhood just to get a feel for prices. It works quite well. It's not the best mobile site on the market today. It's due for a refresh. So if you look at it and you're like, hey, what the heck? Don't worry, it will be getting better. But it's already quite good. If you want to find homes online, it achieves that goal. So just keep that in mind when it comes to the front end of the site. All right, on the back end of the site, that link from the front end, Online Office, or you can always just go to it directly at onlineoffice.c21affiliated.com. That's the domain name for the back office side of the site. We call it the Online Office, kind of like your intranet side of the site. This is really the key place to go for all the information you need to do your job well, figure out what you need to do to manage your inventory, make it look better, and also for communications. We have a CRM system built in here called Customer Connect that can allow you to create all kinds of nice marketing pieces, print pieces, digital pieces, Craigslist templates, all kinds of things like that. So I'm just going to run through some of these tabs here, and if you have any questions, let me know. But just going to start by the main screen, kind of the home page of the Online Office. We call it the dashboard. This will have information available to you just of the latest breaking things that are happening. So there'll often be videos that just kind of communicate what's going on with the company. So here's an example of that.
Our 2011 Hall of
So
Fame.
I won't play that just because it's going on 7 minutes, but you can see how that works. There's information, kind of like in-house ads about new functionality for the website can be shown here. And so you'll often see things like that. It could be just new features of the website, new just events that are coming up. So just keep an eye on what's going on here along the top. Over on the right here, you will see what's going on with your inventory on the website. So I'm logged in at a company-wide level, so I kind of see everything here right now. But you would see your own inventory. An office manager would see office inventory. So everyone can kind of see the stuff that they're responsible for on the site. So what you can see here is that currently there are 2,500 listings that are office listings, and there are 535 of those listings where we're not exactly sure where they're at. So these are listings where we just need that marker moved on the map to exactly where that listing is. So we just can improve the quality of the site just to make it fractionally better. And there are currently 1,800 properties on the site that don't have 18 photos. So out of the box, that's going to be the criteria to just make a listing, look really good, to have it be something that is high quality. So aim for that of having 18 photos on listings. So say, for example, you had 5 listings and 3 of them had 18 or had less than 18 photos, then you would say 3 here instead of 1,863. So it's designed to be a red light, green light system where you can quickly see what it is you can do to make your inventory look better and make yourself look better. So it's really just designed based on what we've seen work online. We're kind of like asking you to jump through some hoops, but our data shows that these are hoops that are worth jumping through. So currently the average photo count on the site is 11.43. We have clients that have gotten that up to over 16, even a little higher in some cases. So if you can train people in your market that whenever I go to Century 21 Affiliates website, it's just a little bit better. You might not even realize why, but over time, if you just have more pictures loaded, people are going to have just a fractionally better experience there, and over time, that can really improve the number of returning visitors to the website. And eventually, people will decide, I'm just going to bookmark this site, and then it's just going to become their de facto site for real estate search in your community. So how can we do that? Well, have a professional design, but also make sure that inventory looks as good as possible. We have 6 properties currently have the property showcase where they have the full screen photos loaded. We want to obviously get a habit going of making that look awesome. When office is missing a photo, that'll obviously be cleaned up. And right now there are 15 agents who don't have a picture of themselves online. So there are 59 people who have pretty much no chance of earning a listing right now or earning a lead. So that will get cleaned up very, very quickly. So that's really designed that I think is most useful for like office managers, because they can see who in their office, maybe some people just joined the system today or yesterday, and they're just on-ranking those folks. So hopefully that's the reason why they have a picture online. And then for your website within the site as an agent, it's broken out into buckets of information where when we go in there, it's kind of an interview process you go through, and you can fill out information about yourself. And what we found is that people who fill out at least 10 sections of themselves tend to have the best results with the website. So we set that as a goal for people, is to go in here and fill out the buckets. And as you fill out more buckets, you earn more points on the back end of our site, and we come up with what we call a web score for you. And right now, the average office web score is 76, and sales associate 7.8. I think this calculation isn't working quite right here at this point. But for those of you who are familiar with LinkedIn.com, it's just like LinkedIn, where when you go to LinkedIn.com and you create a profile for yourself and you add a previous employer, you earn some points. When you add a picture of yourself, you earn some points. And when you get an endorsement, you earn some points. And it just kind of is a grading system that helps you move towards just looking better on the service. That's exactly what we're trying to do here, is to come up with a system that helps you look better, because it helps you figure out, if I had 5 minutes, what should I focus on to make myself look better on the internet? That's what this is designed to do. So it's not designed to be punitive in any way. It's designed to guide you towards looking great, because the whole site works better if everyone looks good. Over on the left column here, there's an events calendar that's available, and what you see will vary based on your login. So if there are events that are relevant to you, to your office, you'll see them. If they're not, they won't. On the front end of the website, there's a blog available, and so it can pull in the most recent blog posts so you can see them right within the back office of the site, and you can also start to create a blog post right from here. And Communication Center is a way to just send out messages to the system, so those can be broadcast to everybody in the system, or they can even be specific to one office, like, hey man, there's something in the fridge that just stinks. Can someone take a look at that? Or something that is not an entire company-wide issue, just a local issue, or they're going to be refinishing the parking lot this weekend, so you got to get your car out of there. Things like that. And then down at the bottom here, we have links to some other services available, say Toolkit CMA, to Google, RAN, 21 Online, just other things that you need access to just go about doing your job on a day-to-day basis. And also links to affiliated, like say Facebook and Twitter account, LinkedIn and YouTube. So if you haven't connected with affiliated on those services yet, it'd be worth doing just to kind of see what kind of marketing messages are going out, other types of communications, so everyone's in sync. And birthdays and anniversaries will be appearing here, so you can just kind of see, who's having a milestone. So that's the home page. Next thing over, leads and stats. So leads and stats is where based on your login, you're going to see different information here. So what you see as a company-wide person is different, obviously, than what an office or an agency sees, but you see what's relevant to you. So as an agent, you see how much traffic your site within the site receives and how much traffic your inventory receives. And it's just a nice way to just kind of see, is anyone looking at at you? Is anyone looking at your inventory? That appears under the traffic reports, where you can drill down to see what's going on with your information. And participation is what I was talking about with the web scoring system earlier. This is at a company-wide level what the participation information looks like. So this will have a rolling 3-month chart over time of how many photos there are per listing on the website. So right now there are about 400 and something, or there's 476 properties on the website have 0 photos. Well, that's a problem because people don't tend to make a lot of offers on things that they can't see. There are quite a few here that looks like they have 6 photos, 211 properties, but there's quite a few, 309 properties that have 25 photos. So that's nice. That's a nice number to be able to get up to that high. Doesn't look like anything has 50 photos yet, but that's fine. 50 is starting to get pretty high. But into the 20s it's pretty easy to take that many pictures of a house. Where people, when you can show them every room, but people are also just trying to get a feel for how all those rooms connect together. So taking pictures of both sides of the rooms, so people can see that. When you start doing that, then the pictures they start to add up pretty fast. Below that, you can see person by person, who's done a good job at the website, who still needs some help, just look better. So what this does is it makes it easy to just kind of round up the agents who don't have a picture yet, and find them and help get them loaded on the system. Or if there's certain types of training on a different feature of the website, it's easy to figure out who can use some help just to look better. So we want everyone to have success with the website. So just by being able to measure who's already looking good, who still needs some help, is really a key thing. Now, another thing I think Wendy here is a nice example to use for this is we often hear people say, I just don't have time to take a lot of pictures of homes. And it's always interesting because whenever I hear that, you can always find someone who has a lot of inventory and a lot of pictures. And so take a look at these top 2 agents here on the site, 22 properties with an average photo count of 23.23 and 27 properties with an average photo count of 18.7. So they have figured out systems to get this done. I don't know who either of these people are, but it certainly seems like they know how to list properties and they know how to get the pictures taken. I don't know if they're taking the pictures themselves or if they're using someone else to get it done, but figure out a system that works for you to make all the properties look excellent, from listing after listing. It's something that sellers are just going to expect from you. So what happens when a seller looks at their own home online and then they compare it to how other homes are marketed online? It's like, why did you only take 3 pictures of my house? Everyone else has like 20-something pictures. I don't get it. You don't want to have that conversation. It puts you like in a defensive position as their counselor, as their person they hired to help get the deal done. So just do a good job, and it tends to keep people happy. So it keeps them off your back. Next feature here is a really critical one for doing your job day to day, and that is our Customer Connect. system. And this is the CRM system that's powered by Where to Live on the site. And this is really where you can put all your contacts into here. You can send email pieces. You can create drip marketing campaigns. You can do print pieces, just a ton of stuff. But to get started, we have a woman in our office that comes in and she helps cut videos for us, like this one. Her name is Janelle. And she'll give introductory videos to different features of the website. She's also in our resource center. There's a lot of other training that's available that you can do at really any hour of the day, just whenever you're ready to take the next step with the features, because there's obviously a lot this can do and you don't need to know how to do all of it on day one. But when getting started with Customer Connect, and now is the time, because we're about to go live here. When you click on Customer Connect, you have a couple different options here on how to get information loaded. But if I click here on Import New Contacts, it takes me to a screen here where I can upload, say, from Microsoft Outlook, Gmail, vCards. We can take quite a few different formats and get those loaded. So, you can just click to browse. So if you go to your Gmail account, if that's what you happen to be using, say, your Outlook account, if you export your contacts, you can then import them into here to get loaded in the system. And another one that's kind of fun is you can also import your Facebook friends. So I did this last night to get this loaded. So when you click to import your Facebook friends, it asks you to authenticate with Facebook, and then it will pull over your contacts from Facebook into Customer Connect. So I did that last night, so I'd have some data in here today. So here are my Facebook friends within the contact system. So I currently have 1,093 friends, and here they are throughout the page. I can search through these people quite quickly. So say I want to say, just show me everyone named Aaron. Do that. It's thinking, and let's see. By the way, this site is not in production mode, so it's still a little bit slow. So here's everyone I know named Aaron. So quickly pulled them up. So first name, last name off of that. I'll just do a search by Nina. Pull up everyone I know named Nina. So here's Nina Hale, which is an example here. If I click on her, it pulled up information here from her Facebook account. So I didn't have to input this information, which is just such a nice thing. And since Nina is basically responsible for this information herself, because it's on her Facebook page, it tends to be spelled correctly and things like that. So her name is Nina Hale. She runs a company called Nina Hale Inc. She happens to be a search engine marketer. I know her gender. I happen to already know that. But if she had a nickname that she used on Facebook, that would appear as well. But what is kind of important is I can see her spouse's name, and I see that her spouse and her, they use different last names. Well, that can be kind of a critical thing when you want to get a mailing label correct. So, for example, it will then come up with a suggested mailing label of Nina Hale and Dylan Hicks. So just a nice little feature to try to get the information as accurate as possible. And she also included her website on Facebook, so that came over here. And I can also click here just to get right to her Facebook account if I want to just find out more information about her. And if she has other social media sites she uses, such as Twitter, I could type in her Twitter account here, and I think actually she uses the same name on Twitter, so I'm going to do that. Hit enter. And right here, within the online office, I'm able to view her most recent tweets. So I didn't have to go over to her account to look at it. I can see them right here and see what she is tweeting about. So the nice thing about that is, if I'm just looking at someone's contact on here, I can just quickly come here and just find out what someone just particularly interested in at the time. So I think some of these have pictures, and the pictures didn't come over, but I can just see some nice examples. So her husband happens to be a singer, so George Jones is someone who was important to him, so he has some information in there about that. So it just helps you before contacting someone to just kind of see what's top of mind for somebody. So, or what if sometimes someone's having a bad day, and sometimes just tell that from looking at someone's social media site before you decide to call them. It's like, oh yeah, maybe I should put off that call. You can tell the last thing they need right now is someone else to call them. Or, they just had something awesome happen, like they just got a puppy. Like, hey, that's an awesome puppy. You need a bigger backyard? Things like that. So it can go either way. You can put a ton of information in here about people. So, what type of, are they a buyer, seller? Are they a hot lead for you? as much information as you like. And as you fill that out, of course, you're able to filter and sort by that kind of information. I happen to know that she's married, and I happen to know her birthday because she has put that information into Facebook. If she had put her kids in there, well, she happens to have 2, I know that, so I could add that. You can just add more and more information. Over time, as I put information here about her, it will also cut a history of all the contacts I have with her, so it just makes it easy to go back and see what's interested her. And I can also associate properties with her. So if there are listings that I know that she's interested in or that she's taken actions on, I can see them right within here. So it just makes it easy to keep track of what stuff is important to her. And then when I go back over here, I could sort by show me everyone who's married with 2 kids. I could run that type of search because I know that I have that kind of data in the system. If I click on the calendar, it'll pull on all the information that's relevant to me. Since I haven't used the system very heavily yet, the information I'm seeing really is people's birthdays, for example. So it's pulling in the birth dates from people's Facebook accounts. So today being the 30th, I click on the 30th, and I have 2 friends here who have a birthday today. Would I like to send a greeting card from Marketing Center? So think about this. I could leave a message on their Facebook wall, and maybe I still would, but I could also send them a greeting in a professional format, using the service. So say I click continue here. It can take me over into Marketing Center to do just that. Happy birthday. Have a wonderful birthday. So, then you'll end up with a branded piece that goes out to them. And it's a nice touch. You're still sending them a happy birthday message, but you're subtly also reminding them that, hey, I happen to work in real estate. So that tends to work pretty nice as a combination type thing there. Now, next thing here is the Marketing Center. So you get your contacts in the system. When they have any kind of events, they'll show up on your calendar. But the next thing is just knowing that you have other types of things that you can do with that data. So I can create email newsletters. I can create print pieces, email marketing pieces such as property promotion pieces, or print marketing pieces as well. Envelopes, labels, postcards, newsletters. You have a ton of options and stuff here. Even if you just want to print some letterhead, you can do that. So lots of pieces. You can also even create a full listing presentation within the system, or do some things related to web marketing. So I'm just going to click on that one quick to get started. Say you want to create a Craigslist template. You can do that quite easily here, where the trick with Craigslist is we can't automatically publish listings to Craigslist. They need to be imported manually, but we can give you the code to import into Craigslist to make it take as much friction kind of out of that process as we can. So we narrow that down quite a bit for you. So you can grab a listing, put in the price, or it'll already have all the price information. You'll grab the primary photos. You can change to different photos if you'd like, and it'll grab that code for you, and you can just paste that in the Craigslist. So that's a nice feature. Craigslist can definitely help move some inventory. So give that a try and see what kind of results you have with that. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how effective that can be. And we also happen to know that this type of a Craigslist template service, there are other CRM systems available that they will charge you a pretty significant amount to be able to unlock features like this. And this is just another free piece of functionality that's part of this platform. What we found with our clients, and I think that Dan's done a very nice job with just how to position this particular product for all of you is, if you keep the price low, more people will use it. And if you keep the price free, then a lot more people will use it. So participation is really the key to making this whole thing work well. That makes it work for, because as more people use the product, more people have success with the product, you tend to then get in the habit of putting more pictures into your listings, in your inventory. And when you do that, it doesn't just help you, it helps everybody because it makes it easier for everyone in the network to sell your properties, and you make money if that happens. So there are a lot of people that work for Century 21 affiliated. So when you load a listing into the system, it didn't just improve that listing on your website, it improved that listing on everyone's website within the website, if that makes sense. Like, because it's all one shared platform. I'll click here on actually let's do a print piece here. We have quite a few different examples of different types of pieces you can do here. Different newsletter templates, postcards, quite a few just kind of ones to get started here. There's really kind of no end to what can be done with services like this to add additional templates. So if you have requests, send those in and make a business case for them. Like, if I had this one piece, I would sell an additional $1 million of real estate a year. Then you'll probably get it done. We have quite a few different address labels available in the system too. So if you are doing a print piece externally and you just need to get addresses into the system, we can do some nice jobs of helping you just create those labels. Also, if you just want to fire off some envelopes, if you want to have number 10 envelopes created that have you printed right onto the envelope and mail merge your contacts on those envelopes and do as number 10 windows or number 10 envelopes, you can do that. Or the print flyers, which is probably one of the most common things we see people doing, is say you just want some flyers. You want to be able to give these to your seller and say, keep these in the box and get them loaded. Which I don't have any inventory here to show that. But the way the flyer will work is you select the property that you want to create that flyer for. It will automatically pull the pictures into there. You can then customize it if you want to make any kind of like small subtle changes to that. And then it'll just generate a PDF of that, so it's a nice print-friendly format, and you can just fire those off in your printer, or if you want to send them to a local Kinko's or whoever your kind of print fulfillment people are, you can just nice and quickly and easily do that. So there's a lot you can do with Customer Connect, but it's really, it doesn't work at all for you until you get your contacts into the system. Once you've done that, now you have the power to really take advantage of that. So if you have Outlook or Gmail or wherever it is that you're managing your contacts today, export them from there, get them loaded into the system. If you talk to our member services people, they can help you with that process. And then once you've done that, if you do the Facebook Connect as well, it'll marry those contacts up. So it'll deduplicate those contacts. So what you end up with is a richer contact than you had elsewhere. So all of a sudden you have people's pictures and those anniversary dates and birth dates and all that kind of stuff all in one place. So by consolidating those contacts, you have just more information you can use to market against. If you're doing email marketing from this, another thing that's cool is it will show you your open rate and click-through rate and unsubscribe rate from the emails that you send. So that's a really nice feature because you can see, hey, is anyone actually reading any of this stuff? And over time you can figure out, what can I do to improve that? There's certain things you could use as a subject line, for example, that just get people to respond a little bit more. So I'm just going to switch over to properties here and show you some examples of this. So the inventory you see as an agent will be, of course, your own inventory. So I'm going to click on our demo listing here. So I went in here, and all this information will automatically import from the board. So you don't have to manually retype everything in, dual entry stuff, because we just know it would never happen, right? But when you go in here, it will pull over the information, but then you can enhance the listing beyond what was already here. So for example, within the listing here, you could add links. So say this is an excellent Tom Rauscher designed home. Well, who's Tom Rauscher? Someone might ask that. Well, you could look up Tom Rauscher and then click link here, and you could add a link so people can find out more information about Tom Rauscher. Just little things like that, where adding links, adding a video. If you have a video, you can add that right into the property description. You can do formatting, so if you want to create a bulleted list of just all the stuff that's nearby this home, like all the cool local restaurants or things like that, you can do that in a bulleted list format or a numbered list format. So things like that just help go beyond what you can normally do on the, that you can put into a board. So if you make that listing just a little bit better, that's the kind of thing that will make it stand out as being a superior version of the listing. We also create a property URL that's a nice, small, emailable length. So we want to create this where it's not like so long that You know, when you send it to someone, it wraps around onto the next line, and then the link breaks when someone goes to click on it, because that's just frustrating for everybody. If you get a custom property domain, so say you went and bought 1234mainstreet.com, you could type that in here on the bottom here. So I'll just type it in quick. If I type that in there, then whenever I do any print marketing or email marketing pieces in Customer Connect, it will use that custom domain instead of the property URL by default there. So it's just a nice thing that adds a little bit more polish. So say you're creating some brochures that you're going to put in on the sign, having that 123mainstreet.com is a nice touch. So because when people see a domain name like that, they know exactly what that means. They know that if they type that in, it's going to take them someplace on the web to find out more information about that house. You don't even have to explain that to them. It's just obvious. So that's, I think, still a very, very effective marketing tool. We also will generate a QR code for you if you'd like. So if I click on that, it just downloaded it over here, and I'll pop it up quick. So there's the QR code that will take people to that same place. So if someone was to scan that, it would take them to that same address on the website. Personally, I think QR codes are a fad that has been dying off quite quickly, but we had a lot of people ask for it, so we built the functionality into the website. But if you had a choice of putting a domain name on the sign or a QR code, do the domain name, because everyone knows how to type a domain name in on their phone and find out more information about the house, but only a very small fraction of people know how to scan a QR code or even have software installed on their computer or phones to do it. And if it happens to be raining out or extraordinarily hot or extraordinarily cold, or you have to crawl through a snowbank, they're not going to do it. So I think the QR code thing is just not taking off. So, but domain names definitely work. Okay, so on this page, another key feature here is this MLS data update. And what this does is it affects how this property talks to the MLS. So the listing first comes onto the site from the MLS, but say you enhance the listing, say you made some changes to that property description and just made it more robust, or say you added additional photos or you went to the high resolution photos. Well, then you might need to change how this property is managed. And a common one is price and status without photos. So in that case, the listing will, you manage everything about that listing right where you managed it before, except for the photos, because you did a nice job with the photos on Century 21 Affiliated that made it better than anywhere else. So you need to tell it that you want the two sites to sync in a slightly different way. And when you make changes, it'll actually alert you to this. You don't have to remember that feature. It'll be like, hey, by the way, I noticed you put some really nice pictures on there, so you probably don't want those to be overwritten the next time the MLS makes an update. So it'll take care of that. So no need to remember that. All right, on the property details information, we didn't fill out much of this for this particular example, but the real critical thing on this details page to get right is over here on the right, the geographical location. We want that house to be really, really where that house actually is. You've been there, you know where the house is. We made our best effort using the software we used to put that house in the right place. But if you go here and take this marker and just drag it to where that house actually is, that's all you need to do. It makes a huge difference. It just gives the site so much more polish. And sometimes, sometimes we really miss where the house is. The software just doesn't get it right. We've seen houses that are in the middle of a lake. They tend not to build houses there, so we just get those right. Your sellers will appreciate it. And another thing is, it's a subtle thing, but it makes a big difference. Is say right now that's where the house really is, but what if the marker was right here instead? We often see this, where the marker ends up right in the middle of the road. What's happening there is the mapping software, it knows where that house is, and for a like a GPS system, if you're driving to this house, that would be good enough. If it didn't know exactly what side of the street the house is on, you would have no problem finding that house. But when you're looking at a real estate site and you want to find that house, whether it's on what side of the street it's on, can often make a really critical difference. especially if it's a house that's either on the water or across the street from the water. It's a huge difference in the value of that property. So just taking the time to just drag that to exactly where the house is, small, subtle thing that makes a big difference. So take responsibility for that. And that's one of the things that right on the dashboard of the site, it will show you, here's exactly what you need to do to make that red marker turn green. Next feature here is a property showcase. And this is where you can manage all the photos for your listing. So for example, when this came over, if this listing did not have, let me find, actually I'm going to pull up another example here so I can show you a non-qualifying listing.
Hey, Ed, we have a question. Do we want to go ahead and answer that?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Narain, you have your hand raised. You have a question? Narain, do you have a question?
Yeah, if your audio is not working, maybe you could type it into the chat box as well.
Sure.
Okay, for now, I'll keep going while you work on that. Here's an example of a listing where the photos can't do the full screen photo tour. And the way I can tell that is the pictures have red outlines around them. So when you go in and you look at your inventory on the Property Showcase tab, if your pictures have an outline around them, they are not large enough for us to go full screen with them. They would just get too pixelated out and it would be a bad user experience. So we don't do the full screen photo tour with them. So the workflow is, if this is your listing, you can go over here and click Remove All Photos, and it will just wipe those pictures out, and then click Upload Multiple Photos, and it would just then pull up your Finder, and you could just select as many photos as you'd like, and it will just start uploading them. Once they're uploaded, you can click and drag pictures around to resort them. So, if for some reason the exterior photo of the home was not the primary photo, or there was a picture that you're like, oh, this should be the second picture, that's just a nice picture of the home, things like that, or I'm going to move this one to the last. Clicking and dragging, you can move them around very quickly. You can also click the arrow keys to just toggle them left and right, option for you, and you can also label them. So, for example, if I click on Edit, I can say, nice archway. And it'll then add in those tags, and that will then appear on the front end of the site. So it just kind of helps sometimes people understand what it is that they're looking at, or if it's a kitchen picture and you can say brand new appliances, things like that. That really kind of helps. Or say this one you can say conversational kitchen. So that's a nice little bar that overlooks the kitchen. It's kind of a nice feature. So things like that just kind of help people slow down and look at those pictures just a little bit longer and study them. So if you give people a couple little cues of what's in those pictures, that's great. And if I go over here to our demo listing, see how the red lines are gone on this. So this one can do the full photo tour. And then it'll say right here along the top, this property qualifies for the property showcase because it has a minimum of 18 photos that are uploaded, and all the photos are at least 1024 by 768 pixels in size, which is not particularly a large picture, but it's large enough for us to go full screen, and it's larger than what we generally get from IDX systems. So that's just, it's a differentiator, so take the time to do it. We have, you can put in as much room information. A lot of the stuff is just going to come over because you already can have it listed. You can schedule open houses here, but I'm sure you can probably also schedule those at your board level, which would be a better option because then that open house will appear on every other site as well. But you will be able to see in here the open houses that are imported over.
Ed, open houses.
If you have any notes on the property, you can have those here.
Open houses for us are coming over automatically from MLS. The open houses for us are going to come over.
Perfect.
Yep, automatically from our MLS.
All right, so definitely manage it that way then, because when you have an open house, you want that open house to be broadcast as far and wide as possible. So much better to manage it there than manage it here, because the information here would not sync back into the board. So it's a one-way sync. And if there are contacts you want to affiliate with this house, you can go in here. And so I have my contact right here, and I could say, Tracy Anderson, she's a buyer who might be interested in this property, and I could add her here to more information on this. So those are the key kind of property pieces. Next one, with your online storage. There's 3 different tiers to this. There's storage at a company level. You can have your own storage available, and there's storage available at an office level. So they're just different documents that would be relevant at different levels. So I'm just going to go into company level here and say click on user guides. And here's the agent quick start guide available here. So I can quickly just click on that and find out more information. How to use the website wizard, working through a worksheet on that. Now what's cool about the online storage system is you can upload information in here and then create a link to this document. So has this ever happened to you? Have you ever attached a large file to an email, sent an email to somebody, and then they responded and said, I got your email, but there was no attachment? There are a lot of people who just work in environments where they have really kind of strict email controls and they just don't allow large attachments. It happens. So a way around that is if you go in here, you can upload a document simply by clicking Upload File, and then this Get URL column, if you click on that, it will generate a public URL to that document. An obscure URL, this is not something that people are just going to be able to figure out, but a public URL. So I could take that and copy that, and then I could add that into an email and send that to somebody, so then they can just click on that link and download that document directly to their computer. So if you have one that we've seen people use this for quite a bit is floor plans, because some of those files can get quite large. So you have the option to do that within your own storage area. If I click on office storage, each office will have information that's relevant to that specific office. Like, see what happens here for Aurora. Listing packet.
I was going to say another good thing for that would be condo docs. We get a lot of condo docs that are like 50, 60 pages, so you could upload that to your folder and use that as a link to send to agents that need those condo docs.
That's a great one. In some cases with condos too, if you have a, like with the floor plan type thing, if it happens to be like in a huge PDF or something, if you upload that, you could then link to that from the property description. You could add a link into that area that takes people to that document, so they can just learn a little bit more than what you can present in the photos. So lots of uses, be creative with it. But try not to do things like upload, your favorite movies and things here. Use it for work. Resource Center is meant to be just a nice place to give you kind of, self-paced training on different features of the website. So if I go here and click on video training, for example, Online Office Quick Start, I'm sure probably this conversation here will end up here eventually, but you can go through here and go through different features, functionality of the site, learn about how to use it, and there's always new people coming into the system, of course, and we just want to make it easy so we can scale. And when people are, all of a sudden the kids are asleep, it's 9 p.m. and I actually have some time where I can do something productive for a bit, that's a great time to hop in here and take advantage of the training that's available within services like this. So make sure to take a look at Resource Center from time to time, and as new information is added here, that would be something that would appear on the dashboard, like, oh, by the way, there's some new information in the Resource Center worth checking out. There is a blogging platform available within the service as well, and the blogging platform is quite nice because it's just a really easy way to publish content to the website. When you just want to write about local housing trends or some upcoming kind of community events, or if you want to write tips for home buyers or tips for home sellers, or if you just look through the recent sent emails, like, is now a good time to buy, obviously is a common question that comes up. If you just want to write something up quick about, homes are starting to move faster and money's still cheap, and if some of you might be a little gun shy just because the market's been slow for a long time, but you might want to take a second look at it or try to get yourself pre-qualified and just see what you're eligible for. Things like that. If you wrote up a quick post about that, to write a blog post is quite simple. You just type in a title, and you can write up a few sentences to a few paragraphs. If you have a picture that's relevant to the post, you can click to add that quite easily. You just upload a picture from your computer. You can even upload a YouTube video. If there's a video that you saw, whether it's yours or not, you can upload, or you can have that video included from YouTube into your post. It's quite an easy process. And then when you write that post, you then have an option of where that post will appear on Century 21 Affiliated's website. You can have that blog post appear on your website within the site. You can have it appear on a relevant city or neighborhood page within the site, or on the full front page of the entire company's site. So when you write a post, it can appear on your own site. For the other cases, it goes through a editorial process just to make sure that it's relevant to where you've nominated it for. If you write a blog post that's self-promotional about how you are the #1 agent in Madison and everyone should work with you, there's a pretty good chance that's not going to end up on the homepage of the website because it's going to piss off every other agent in the company. But if you write something about Madison home trends and how the market's continuing to be strong because it's a college town and college towns are outperforming the rest of the market, something like that, that's relevant to everybody. So that's where it kind of breaks down of figuring out what would be relevant to people in different situations. And if there are new restaurant openings or there's a new hole in the ground in your community and you happen to have an inside scoop on a new condo that's going up, that would be a type of thing that if you took a couple pictures, you just wrote up a quick explanation of what's going on and posted it to the most relevant city page, that's a perfect example of the type of content that can really provide value to people when they go through the site. So if you click your post and you click city and neighborhood blog, you then can select the city that it's relevant to, tag it like that, and it just goes together really quickly. The community pages, I don't think I need to really get into this, but with the community pages, this is like just the administrative process for adding information to each of those cities and neighborhood pages that appear on the website, but I don't think we need to get into that one. But the last one we're going to go through here is the website wizard. And we showed an example earlier of an agent who had a website. His picture appeared, but he didn't have any other content built out on the website yet. So Wendy here appears to have done some work on her website. So I'll show you what this process looks like. So each of you have this website wizard interface. So when you go to administration, click on the website wizard tab. You might see a slightly different set of menu items here just based on your login criteria, but there will be a link there for a website wizard. The first thing you can do is choose a design. So there'll be a number of different design options available to you. It doesn't affect the content you put in there. Just if you want it to lay out in a 3-column layout or a 2-column layout and a couple different color options, they're all, of course, going to be Century 21 affiliated branded, but you have a few options available to you there. You select design, upload your photo. If you have another domain name like homesbywendy.com that you'd like to include, you can add that here. And this is really the heart of building out the home page of your website, this homepage content wizard. And you can go through here and add an introduction to yourself, and then, for example, professional background is one example. So in every case here, we've tried to put in some information here that just helps you, gives you an idea about what type of content to look at here. Over time, there will be some nice examples to look at of just more people who've built out this content. So, we'll be able to just point you to, like, here, take a look what they did, customize it, to your own, situation. But here's some examples of it. But so here's what Wendy did. She mentioned she's been a full-time realtor since 1991 in up and down markets, working with buyers agents, top 10 nationwide about the Century 21 system, Criterion Awards, Quality Service Awards. That's, she's obviously has quite a bit of experience here, but she's done a nice job of pointing that out. And here's the session, professional interests. They can be somewhat related. Like, say, professional interest could be, she sits on some local boards, for example. That might be an example of that. personal background, she decided not to use that section, but she used her interests. Volleyball, real estate investments, Badger football, animal rescue, and she linked out to the different places for those. So if people want to find out more information about how she's involved in volleyball, people can click on that. Community involvement, she decided not to use that section. Designations, she's got her section designations checked off here. So you can go over here on the right, select appropriate designations, toggle them over. Languages, she's used that, English, education, University of Whitewater. Specialties, she hasn't used that section. You can also make up your own questions, essentially, to interview yourself. So these user-defined sections. So, for example, I could create a section called testimonials, and then type out any testimonials I've received. I'm the best agent in the world, and type that in. So if you have testimonials, that's actually a really, really good section to use at the site, or a good way to use the website. And then also, if I want to have if I have some inventory, by checking this box, my inventory will automatically display on my website. So it's a nice way to just kind of keep your site fresh by checking that system. Now with each of these sections, I have the ability to decide whether I want to display this or not. So say Wendy started writing her professional background, but it wasn't quite ready to go live on the site. Like she just wasn't quite, it wasn't quite where she wanted it to be. The checkbox here, show on my website, allows her to turn the section on and off. So if I say show on my website and I uncheck that and hit save, that information would be saved in the online office, but it would not display to the front end of the website. So just a subtle little difference there that you can, it basically allows you to write stuff and save it in a draft mode until you have it to where you really want it. So take advantage of that. And as you're building out your site within the site using these tools, make sure to send it to some other people in the office so they can look at it and they'll give you ideas of things that you forgot to write about yourself. Or send it to your family or someone else that just can give you some good feedback. Maybe they'll find a typo, or you forgot to mention that you're a member of the Rotary Club, or whatever it may be. You'll end up with a better bio if you take the time to do that. Then after you fill out these different sections, you can also order them and rank them in different orders. So going through here, there may be things that you want to really lead with and things that are just less important to you. So that's up to you to decide. So say she wanted to make education her #1 thing, she could just click and put that all the way up at the top, and say she wanted to move her designations ahead of her professional background. It's as easy as that. As you make those changes, then you can then see how that information will rank out on the site like that. And you can also create additional pages of the website that has more information. So for example, she has information here on market updates as an additional page to her site, and real estate technology updates. So she has a link here where people can go get the Century 21 app. For featured properties that appear on your website, you have options in terms of how those will display. On the lower part of the screen, see there's two different views that will show. One is it'll show one property at a time, and they show for a few seconds, and then it fades out and puts the next one in. Or you can display 4 thumbnails at a time, and it will rotate through each of those. And you can then decide which properties you want to have displayed. So you can just have it display all your inventory, just active listings. If you want to display office listings, so say you don't really have any inventory of your own, but you just want to show like, here's some properties that could help you buy, you can do that. Or you can, of course, have no featured properties as well. So I think most people display all of their inventory, assuming they have, if there's someone that lists homes. One exception of that is if they have a lot of lots where it's like just the same picture of an open field over and over again. It just doesn't look that amazing. So sometimes they'll turn it off for that. For defining your area, you can go in here and physically define what's an appropriate area that you're, say, willing to drive for your business. So on the front end of the site, people have a link that appears called area listings. And you can then say, you know what, I'm just like in the Rockford community, and I'm willing to drive that area. That will then become, from your site, if someone clicks for area listings, they're going to see the inventory that you are willing to represent, essentially is what that comes down to. So you can just quickly go and define that like that. And directory search introduction is when someone goes to the front of the site and they search for real estate agents in Madison, for example, or they just type in Wendy and they see all the Wendys that work for the company. This is the information that will appear when they first come in and look at that. And this looks like it needs a little bit of a cleanup, but there's something there at this point. And then I can just quickly hit save. And actually, throughout this whole process, you can always hit save, and that's what you really should do. But as you save information, it will go live right away on the website. So you can quickly make changes, and you don't need to get this all done in one pass. But generally, we say, if someone can find an hour to just focus on this and take a nice pass at it, they can make their site look really nice without really too much effort. And let me see if I can find Wendy on the front end here so I can show you what she looks like there. There's the 3 Wendys that popped up, and just like with the property search, we use a mapping type feature for finding agents. So when someone say they met Wendy at a volleyball game and they talked real estate for a bit, they knew she worked for Century 21 Affiliated, but didn't have any business cards on them at the time, but they went to Affiliated's website and they just said Wendy, and so like, oh, okay, I'm looking through it, yep, I recognize her, geography makes sense, that's the Wendy I'm looking for. So I click here and like, oh, right there, yep, that's her, and I'm going to click visit my website. And here she is. So we saw a site before where it just had a picture but no additional content built out. So here's what a site looks like when it's starting to really kind of get built out nicely. So welcome to our website, full-time realtor since 1991, experience in guiding buyers and sellers towards their real estate goals. She's done a very nice job with this. There's her inventory. She knows how to list. She has a lot of pictures loaded to these listings. Make sure to do that. Like when these all have just a ton of pictures, that just looks so nice. Got her designations there, personal interests, language. She's done a very nice job building this site out. So when someone Googles her and they land on a page like this, they're not going to say, oh, she doesn't look professional, she doesn't look competent, I'm moving on. No, when they get here, they're going to say, wow, she looks great. She obviously knows what she's doing with real estate. Now here's an example of one thing that, I'm not picking on Wendy here, but what happens if you are the seller of 8206 Stargrass Drive and you happen to look at Wendy's website and it says 25 photos, 25 photos, 25 photos, 25 photos, 25 photos, 20 photos. Hey, why don't I have more pictures in my house? So, that's the kind of thing where if that's a resale property, it's not like, say, new construction where that's just like a drawing of it, then, a seller might wonder, hey, why do you do such a good job for everybody else but not for me? So, being consistently good and really just consistent, that can also avoid some headaches. So, try to make a habit of that as well. Let me see here if I click here on area properties then. So remember when I just showed you on the back end how you could click on area properties and it would take us to an appropriate area. And this is where we're still a little bit in a demo area, but it looks like it zoomed out a little bit further than Wendy might have been expecting. But what we're trying to do here is when someone clicks to look at properties, it's going to be presented by Wendy for the geography that's appropriate for Wendy. So maybe Wendy would actually want to do something, more like that kind of a zoom level, or maybe even a little tighter than that. But that's what the intent of defining your search area is on the back end, is to get people to the inventory that you're actually willing to drive to. So, so that's that. So, we've covered a ton here, I think. But if you have any questions, I'm definitely willing to field some questions, or let me know.
Let's see, Maria, do you have a question? You have your hand raised. Oh, do we have any questions? If you have any questions right now, raise your hand, and I'll unmute you.
Hey, Carrie, while we're waiting on anyone to either type in or raise their hand for some last questions, just wanted to confirm for everyone on the webinar through you and Ed, tomorrow 3 Elements will go live. The public website that Ed gave a demo of that the general public will be able to get onto, all of the agent websites as well as the new back office will all be live as of tomorrow, correct?
Well, the back office is already live, but yes, the front and the agent websites will be live.
So you can go to onlineoffice.c21affiliated.com right now and go into your website wizard under administration and build out that content. So when it goes live tomorrow, there's something there for people to see.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion, Ed, and I know we made that in the 4 live sessions we had. But if you didn't get to one of those, I would definitely recommend getting on there if you have some time today or tonight after you're done showing properties, and go in there and start building out some of your content. And as this goes live tomorrow, as Ed's mentioned, you will have a good presence on there. I know Wendy was at one of the Madison Live trainings the other week, and clearly she's gone in there and done a nice job updating her stuff already. So definitely get in there if you have a chance. And if you don't have a chance today, I would make it one of your to-do lists or throughout this week, over the weekend, to get that. The quicker you get in there and update that content, the better you will be seen on the website.
We have a question from Amy. Go ahead, Amy.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that address again?
It is onlineoffice.c21affiliated.com. You see that maybe at the top of the screen right now, onlineoffice.c21affiliated.com.
And then we have another question, Ed. Can you, when you're building your site, can you preview it?
You can preview it.
No, the drink's not gone. No eating night.
I'm sorry. When you're building your site, there is a preview screen here on homepage content, but it's previewing the content, but not in the context of the larger view. So, but you can quickly add content, hit save, and what you can do is you can pull up your site on the front end, and as you make changes on the back end, hit save, go back to the front end, hit refresh, and then see that change in effect. So, you know, we haven't built like a full kind of preview on the back end, because you can make changes, quickly see the change you made, roll it back if you don't like it. So, you know, just I think that's a pretty good workflow.
We don't currently have any other questions. Any other questions, anyone? Otherwise, we're going to wrap up.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, everyone. I really take advantage of the tools. You know, I think Affiliated has done a great job coming up with a professional design. It's obviously a very high-quality company. They know how to execute. But all of you are really responsible for your own inventory and for your own sites within the site. So make sure that you do your part to look good, because that will earn you more traffic, more leads, and more money down the road.
Sounds good. And actually, everyone, we're going to take this and
Thank you, Ed. Sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
okay, I was just going to say we're going to actually have this video be up at the top of the online office when you first log in. So it'll be there for everyone to watch in case they need to refresh or go over any certain parts of the training.
Terrific. And then just the last tidbit I was going to make mention of, we will also host some future trainings on the website, probably do some agent webinars over the next few months, just recapping some of these individual features. Certainly if you have questions, you can reach out to Carrie directly. You can reach out to the email and 1-800 number through the support line through Where to Live. And we will continue to do classes on this. If there's a specific feature you want more information on in a class, please email Carrie so we can put it on our webinar list for the future. And with all that said, we are really looking forward to launching this tomorrow. I think it's going to be a very impactful site, and excited to see the results come about with more leads and a better search engine optimization for all of us. So thanks a lot, Ed, and thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.